Air fryer indeed.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Tee air fryer indeed. Who's got one of those? My in-laws love their air fryer. How's it going with yours? Excellent visual meme to start the day. Do you like those? How we're starting the show more recently. I hope you do. Good morning to you. It's Feel Good Friday. Carl Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. Right. I've not long got up, but it's also true to say I've not long since gone to bed, if you see what I mean. Proving that there are two 6 o'clocks now, and this isn't long after I went to bed, quite frankly. I had to squeeze quite a lot in yesterday, and we have a nice busy day as we head towards Portugally this morning. So Mrs. M will be here. I don't know if she's had any sleep at all over the last few hours. I think one or two, and crazy schedule at the moment. It's spring, isn't it? It's really feeling the spring vibes, the sap rising, and loads happening right now. Let's have a listen to, following on from my nighttime soundscape that you may have listened to on the podcast, a beautiful morning soundscape. Now, thank you, Owen, so much for this. Got to love a man, haven't you? Sends you a dawn chorus and pictures of his Portuguese tapas. No pun or innuendo or euphemism intended there. A little treat, though, around 6 o'clock this morning. Just lean in and listen to this.
Good morning, Portugal. The sound of the dawn chorus. It's 6:05 this Friday. What a beautiful way to wake up.
What a racket.
In Portugally, looking over the mountains, sky clearing, and the excitement for what the day holds. So whatever you're doing today, have yourself a fantastic day.
Cheers, Owen. Isn't that lovely? That is noisy. I don't know how anyone sleeps in the early hours of the morning in Portugally. Oh, Mrs. M, you're missing the dawn chorus of Portugally. Oh, you've heard it yourself here on the Silver Coast. Beautiful. Cheers, Owen. In case you're wondering, the phones aren't optimized, are they, for recording dawn choruses? But if you leant into your device there, you'd have heard the dawn chorus of Portugally. Very thoughtful, and what a lovely greeting to receive from Owen. We're a bit hoarse and croaky. What are you up to there, Mrs. M? You turning your lighting on? What was that? Are you about to plunge everything into darkness? I wonder. Can I put your camera on yet?
Sure.
Oh, okay. We can hear you. If I put your microphone up, we can hear you for sure. What was that you were saying? You've heard the dawn chorus yourself Hello, here she is, everybody. On the morning show with the GMP. Yes,
Good morning. Oh, my goodness.
Busy week, right?
A busy, 2 weeks. Ever since I launched my new show.
Busy season.
Lots of extra stuff has come in, and it's been fantastic. And just lots of things. And then
we're not complaining, are we?
No,
it's just so much
fantastic.
life to squeeze into the day, isn't there? And the night, as it turns out.
I was working until 2:30. Then we watched a little bit of Netflix, didn't we, for a half hour? Held
we've
each
got to
other's
squeeze
feet.
that in. With that terrible series they're watching on the Verge.
Oh my goodness! It's so neurotic.
It's like the pitch, I think, to Netflix was we're trying to get as many neurotic vignettes of life in California as we can. Yes, we'll buy it. Sounds great. And my God,
It's made me feel anxious just watching it. you know.
really?
Yeah.
This makes me feel so lucky.
Really.
Yes, it really does. Oh my goodness, on the verge, absolutely. A great opening sequence. as well.
The funny, yeah, the opening sequence is amazing. But the funny thing is I do recognise myself in
Oh,
some
do
of these
you?
vignettes, which is
Oh,
why
I
it's a little
don't. I
bit.
don't recognise myself as. Oh, actually, I do a little bit. The Frenchman, the
Yeah.
American guy who owns. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I never. Louisa, your new show rocks.
Oh, thank you very
I
much.
thought that was Show Us Your Rocks, and I thought that was a.
Do you know, that's a bit too familiar for
It
first
is.
thing
It
in the
is. isn't it?
morning.
Yeah,
but
but that's how I read it when I first saw it on the screen. Yes, Capricorn, Chris. We'll have let's catch our breath and just sit back for a moment and like the video. Yes, of course, I love the video. And no sooner really had I asked Capricorn 12 Chris, if he would send us some video, than he did. So we'll stay on the
oh
screen
my
for
goodness,
this.
can
Mrs.
I
M.
just say,
What?
we need to get some new mugs. Look at this.
State
This
of
is
that.
so tatty.
What is it meant to be? Is it
It's
meant
one
to
of
be a
those-
colour change?
It's a colour change one, and the sort of,
It's all been.
it's one of the kids like ones, and it turns into some happy, loved up, romantic
Not anymore. It doesn't.
bear.
It just looks like a post-apocalyptic receptacle now, and all of that fluorescent or whatever it's called paint is now into the ecosystem. No, eventually we'll all glow when we have a drink, won't we? If enough of that stuff gets in our bodies, or maybe my face does anyway. Okay, yes, we love the video, and we're going to play it now, Chris. Thank you for this. And we also got news this morning. Well, we've got Reverend Joe, our dear friend, Reverend Joe, joining us from the UK. Oh, I think I sent him the link. Yes, I did. I will check that while the video is on. But we have Joe joining us. What a lovely man he is. He's joining us from 9. And that rascal, Frank, will be joining us at 9:30 from the Algarve as well. What? Just had a bill? 25 centimos for Via Verde. Yeah, you ought to pay that, because that could quite easily escalate over the next...
Into a 200 euro fine.
over the next 27 years. And they will not let you go. They will hunt you down. They've got Liam Neeson working in their call centre. He'll ring you up. And he'll come and get his 25 centimos with 300 extra euros of interest and fines. Okay, let's watch that video then. Good to see you, Dougie, and the 3 or 4 horsemen of the Gunpocalypse earlier on. We'll come back to
Is
that.
that what they're called now?
They are, yeah. Well, check this out.
This is Chris from Capricorn 12. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. This is all about Cabo San Vicente.
Boom.
Cabo de San Vicente is a stunning coastal region located in the southwesternmost point in Portugal and the entire European continent. The region has been considered a sacred place since prehistoric times, also by the Romans and the Moors. The lighthouse is one of the oldest in Europe. It was built in 1846 and has a range of 34 nautical miles. In the 15th century, the area played a crucial role in Portugal's maritime history, including Vasco da Gama's journey to India in 1497. During the summer months, many visitors gather to see the spectacular sunset and see the sun go down over the ocean and the lovely, amazing different colours of the sky. The area is also known for its diverse array of flora and fauna, including many rare and endangered species. It's also a stopover for migratory birds. It's a popular destination for photographers and artists. Pristine beaches, rugged coastline, and crystal clear waters. This is a must-visit location.
That's really lovely, isn't it? Really? Could you hear the water lapping against? Yeah, it was really nicely done.
That's
Chris.
really beautifully done, Chris. Did you
It's his
are you a
own- his
drone pilot?
He is a drone pilot. That's his drone work, his voiceover.
So it's all about he's all about the air, isn't he?
He
Chris.
is, yes.
He works in the air or for the air, and then has a drone piloting around.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
Lovely voiceover on that as well. Yeah, footage taken with my drone.
Love it.
Audio from Epidemic Sound, which might get me a YouTube strike. Thanks, Chris. And voiceover by myself. That's beautiful. Cabo San
Really
Vicente, de San Vicente there. Wonderful. And yes, one of those modern sounds, isn't it? Or you're trying to enjoy yourself at the beach.
We had that the other
And
day.
you drop your trousers behind a rock somewhere on the beach there. And next thing you know, there's someone watching you with a drone when you're trying to
That
answer
happened in our back garden, didn't it?
You were in the back garden, drone comes over. So I shook my fist at it like a proper old geezer, didn't I? Getcha! Well, honestly, you don't know if it's a sex toy or a drone vibrating in the distance. Oh, everyone reaches for their handbag to check. Epidemic Sound is royalty free, so you'll be good there, Cole. No need to worry. Good morning to you, Francis. How are you doing this morning? Bagandi is in as well. We have a smattering of events that you have beautifully, dutifully, conscientiously posted to the Gumper map as well. So we'll take a look at a few of those, Mrs. M, in our beloved Barrerada. João Mendonça is here. Good morning to you, mate. Bon dia to you both. Happy Friday. How are you doing? I haven't seen you for a while. And great 2-minute taster from Dougie there. Well, the comment is great taster, Chris. He is king of the 2-minute tasters, and a lovely taster from you there, Chris. So, yeah, Mrs. M, looking forward to the Pont Lima trip today.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It's nice to get out.
You know, are we going to get lost to the north? I mean, that's the big question.
Yes.
You know, because we've had so many people have come on their exploratory tours.
Yeah.
And we think, oh, yeah, they're going to love the Silver Coast. And then all of a sudden they're like, see you later, guys.
See
We're
ya.
up.
Yeah,
We're up
see ya,
north.
wouldn't like to be ya, smell you later, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just
Yeah.
used to saying goodbye to people. If they say I'm going to Pont Lima, I say, well, that's it. It's been nice knowing you.
Yeah.
So
So I'm kind of curious. I'm also very curious about Viana do
Viana do
Castelo.
Castelo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I've just fallen for that picture of is it a cathedral or a big church
Oh, right. Okay.
overlooking the sea? It just looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it? And again, another moody video, perhaps. We'll have to put into practice some kind of mythological mechanism, won't we? Don't look into the eyes of Pont Lima.
Yes.
Just don't look straight into her eyes, because she'll have you and you won't be able to leave. It's like the Hotel California of Portugal, isn't it? Okay, we'll see what happens this weekend, but really looking forward to seeing you.
Well, I need to be able to stay awake because I mean I've only had
You're all right. I'm
3 hours
driving. You
sleep.
can have a lovely sleep in the car. You can be drooling and dribbling as
usual.
as the air wafts over you with our air conditioning system.
As the kids in
Yeah,
the back
window.
go, Mom.
Exactly. Yes, we need to stop. Could you not have gone before we left? I didn't need to go then. That's just the adults. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz sexta. Always great to see Frank on the show. Yeah, he's coming up at 9:30 after heavy rain yesterday evening. There's a dry day in prospect, so a good walk beckons. Coffee may be involved. Lovely. Coach Turner's talking about balls again. The balls of his feet, of course. Men are lucky, aren't they, with so many balls at their disposal? Is it them?
Yeah, I imagine if I was
Hello?
if I was a guy, I would spend most of my time.
Okay, all right, let's move on. God's got tip of the day. So you've mastered walking on the balls of your feet and your heels. We've had no videos yet of people bouncing down the street. It's like a pogo, isn't it? That what Coach Turner, you old punks, might want to do this. You could either revisit your punky days, bouncing on the balls of your feet, or follow Coach Turner's advice here. You've bounced with straight legs on. Why are you sniggering about that? Did you have punky pogo-y days?
No,
You're too young
because
for
I'm
that,
a
aren't
bit too young for that.
Yeah.
I was just you talking about bouncing on balls.
All right. What's funny about that? That's very immature. You've bounced with straight legs on both 1 and 2 feet in a variety of directions. What next? Good question, Coach Turner. Find a straight line on the ground. I don't recommend the one down the middle of the road.
That's a good tip.
Good safety tip. Thank you for that, Coach Turner. Yes, very conscientious. On one straight leg bounce, either side of it moving forward, and 10 hops is sufficient.
I want to
okay.
see you do some of these, Carl, and I'll video
I want
you.
to see lots of people doing these. Incidentally, no Iberian FM phone in. A huge gap will be felt across Europe at 10 o'clock this morning. Europe's biggest phone in, Iberian FM, will not be happening today. We will make up for it in content coming from Pont Lima, of course.
I'm sure we will.
But sorry to disappoint you. I'm just sneaking that in there in case people are just absolutely heartbroken about that this morning. Obviously, continues Coach Turner, repeat on the other leg. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll spend the rest of the day feeling a little bit of imbalance.
You'd be walking around in circles.
I find that. Don't you find that with a foot massage? If you only get one of them done,
Yes.
you kind of feel shortchanged and incomplete, don't you? It's the same here. You can also do this with 2 feet. However, don't try this until you're comfortable with the earlier ones, as you'll need a certain level of strength. And it's Friday. Don't think about doing this on the way home from the pub. That way, injury and a visit to the emergency room can often lie. Oh, yeah. Oh, lovely night down the pub. I think I'll try those Coach Turner exercises on the way home. Yes, Dawn Chorus video, audio. That was fantastic. Owen, thank you very much for that. T-Duck was in early doors as well at just before 8 there with a bon d'Algria gumpers and a deep thought then. Mrs. M, concentrate, focus seriously for a moment.
Okay.
You can make more friends. Go on then, you can do this.
You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
Is that where I'm going wrong?
You're not going wrong at all, love. You're
Thank
fine.
you.
You're
That was
good.
Dale Carnegie with the great name Dale Carnegie, who was an American writer.
Carnegie.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Carnegie Hall.
Okay.
Please, Americans, help us out. You've grown up with that name, Dale Carnegie. Nick Carnegie, tomato, was an American writer and lecturer, and the developer of courses in self-improvement, salesmanship, corporate training. He kind of wrote the book on it, didn't he? Literally.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
Yeah. So that one more time, then you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Yes, take note, TikTokers and Instagrammers. Is there a social network where the approach is having people get interested in each other first rather than getting them other people interested in them?
Isn't that
Yes.
live streaming? It's what you do.
It's the GMP VIP network, of course. We didn't set that up just so we could say that, but it is like that. And I recorded a little video for those of you new to the GMP VIP area. I recorded a little video in my garden just before lunch yesterday, which features springtime flowers and 3 things I'd love you to do on arrival at the GMP VIP platform. Talking of platforms, networks, we should also announce the Portugal Plan Virtual Summit, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Mrs. M as well, but not until we have had a look at the Portuguese saying of the day. Take it away, Mrs. M. Come on, you can do this.
Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you what tricks you have.
And in Portuguese?
No.
Diz-me com quem andas, dir-te-ei que manhas tens. Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you what tricks you have. And that we do understand, don't we? We the equivalent being, I suppose, in what we used to, what we grew up with. You judged by the company you keep?
Yeah,
Possibly?
I would say so.
Yes. Okay. Quem sabia? Portugal.
Is that what QS stands for?
Yeah, it's shorthanded now. Yeah, you turn your back for a minute, and there's a new acronym, isn't there? You didn't know that, did you, Miss them? Would you like to read it, though? Should we do this together as though we were a morning show duo?
Okay.
Hey, we are. So you did it first bit.
Okay. So Portugal has an advanced economy and holds the 14th largest gold reserve at its central bank.
Representing the highest percentage share held in gold of total foreign reserves by any nation. Well done, Portugal.
Yeah.
So they can back up their currency with gold, or at least a little bit.
Well,
of it.
they're the 14th largest gold reserve.
Oh, okay.
So it's not exactly like they're the biggest.
So it's probably just like your grand's house. There's a little there's a little cabinet in the Bank of Portugal with a glazed cabinet with just a couple of old gold trinkets and charms in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want your money backed up by gold, you just go in there and ask for a charm. Can I see the charm bracelet, please? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. A member of the United Nations, the European Union, the Schengen area, and the Council of Europe. That keeps the politicians busy, doesn't it? Going from one to another. Portuguese, it's as though they set them up so they could go from one to another.
Interesting.
Not quite getting there, not quite dealing with the business of uniting the nations or uniting Europe or Schengening, whatever that is. Portugal was also one of the founding members of NATO. Again, is NATO on target with its intentions? Let's not get into that right now. And the Eurozone, of course. Go on, Mrs. M.
It was also a founding member of the OECD and the Community of Portuguese Language Countries, CPLC. By 2021, Portugal had the 4th lowest GDP per capita of the Eurozone.
And that's not a good thing, I take it. Although it probably has its upsides, doesn't it? Now, if you're a prime minister and you take office in Portugal, that's already about 6 months' work there, isn't it? Going to introduce yourself to all those different organisations before you get any work done.
Yeah.
Which some argue they don't. But I'm not going to, I wouldn't say
You're
that.
not going to spread
I
those
would never
rumours,
say
are you?
that.
I was just laughing at the dag jokes. I think they're really good.
Okay, should we do them now then?
Yeah.
Because you're not. I don't think you're going to be here at the
I
end
can't
of the
be
show.
here all day today.
All right, special treat for you, and so I
okay.
don't forget them. And I forgot them yesterday, but I put them on my own timeline, and much joy was had from them. T-Duck, rest assured. Mrs. M, over to you.
My wife and I have decided not to have kids.
The kids are taking it pretty badly. Hey,
That was the one that made me.
yeah, that's
chuckle.
not really funny though, is
No,
it?
it's not.
Okay. When I get a headache, I take 2 aspirin and keep away from children, just like the bottle says.
Very good.
These are very good. Really high caliber dad jokes
Yeah,
just
they're
recently. But they're always good, T-Duck, but you have excelled yourself in the last little while. Becoming an adult, Mrs. M?
Becoming an adult is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Don't grow up. It's a trap.
That's not a dad joke. That's life advice, isn't
It's
it?
really good advice, actually.
Yeah, Felice Ferreira, he completes and climaxes the dad jokes there. Let's do a visual one before I cause disappointment and another psychotherapeutic client for James. Look at this lady here. She's beautifully dressed, I've got to say, for the kitchen. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And
Yes, of course.
I don't think that would suit me, though. This doesn't
I
make...
don't know. I think you could pull that off.
I would pull that off for sure. This doesn't...
You've been dressed similar to that in Panto.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, yes, you have.
This doesn't make sense, says the lady in the picture. Add leftover wine. What the hell is leftover wine? Yeah, good question in our house, that, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Yeah.
It is. And did you like this air fryer meme?
Oh, very
Hey!
good. Very good.
Trying to hit the sound effect pad there, and I missed. Here's my little entry to the world of jokes on the internet yesterday. Bruce Joffe of Portugal Living magazine was asking, why do I freeze up when trying to speak Portuguese? Fear of falar.
Yeah, very clever.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 300 or 400 likes for that. No, it was,
No.
you know, sometimes
It's a bit too conceptual for a lot of
it's
people.
a bit too, yeah, it's kind of really stretching, isn't it? Failure, falar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sorry I had to explain it there for an extra like. I mean, when you think to yourself, do I need to explain this joke to get the extra likes? You know, you're, well,
It's
probably
not a winning joke.
a narcissistic idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. Bom dia, then, Gumpers. Feliz sexta todos, como vão as coisas? How are things? I like that
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
nice, isn't it?
Real good, yeah.
Yeah.
Anna's here, Sweden, Portugal. Bom dia todos. I've been busy with friends. Thank you for the pictures. They will emerge in the coming days, probably at the start of next week now, Anna. But thank you so much. You've been busy with friends visiting for the first time in Portugal. It's that season, isn't it? But now I am here again from VRSA as usual. Welcome back. And it is the season of visitors. And we were talking to friends the other day who have been giving strict instructions to visitors.
Oh, I loved what they did.
It's a really good way of putting off visitors.
And it's a great way of maintaining boundaries and keeping sane.
You've got to buy us a bigger car was one of them because they.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
I didn't.
What were the ones that impressed you?
I really like the fact that you know, like when they fly into Lisbon, they have to get an Uber from the airport to IKEA.
That's right,
and that's where they wait. So
pickup
our
point.
friends, the pickup point is at IKEA, so they can go and have a nice lunch. And maybe
That's if
pick
you
up
like
a few
IKEA.
things.
I mean, other places, other pickup points would be available. It could be Leroy
But I mean,
Merlin.
the great thing about, Leroy Merlin only has a little coffee shop, doesn't it, as opposed to a place where you get some food. Yeah, so IKEA is pretty good, and of course, IKEA in Loresh has got.
They've got beds and sofas.
Yeah, you could lie down for a bit, couldn't you?
I recorded a meditation video from
You
Loresh.
did, didn't you?
No one bothered me at all. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
and you can get some last minute things for when you've got your people staying.
that's right. And they could even pay for them, couldn't they?
That's really good. We missed the trick there, didn't we?
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's a really good.
The other thing Richard was saying, if that is indeed his name, 'cause
Yes,
he might
I
not
was
know,
just about to say you're not
or
supposed
her
to.
name.
Well, their
was
name.
Their name. You have to pay, your guests have to pay for all the meals out. So you take care of the food inside the house.
Yeah.
So you put them up as host and take care of everything inside the home. But as soon as you step beyond the threshold, it's down to your guests to treat you.
I liked that.
You did, especially when you've got 10 sets of guests coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that can become expensive. They think they're the
'cause
only ones.
I
don't
was
they?
just about to say that every guest just thinks they're the first ones, and
Yeah.
that it must be really lovely to show them around and stuff.
Yes.
And it is. And you know, after like one season of it, you're done with that for a lifetime, pretty much.
So done. Oh, don't be like that. Because we are doing. Actually, what would be quite good would be to be paid by the Portuguese government. to host
Oh,
people,
that's a
wouldn't
good
it?
idea.
Because you are being basically a
An
tourist
ambassador.
guide and an ambassador, yeah.
Yeah.
A horrible wet and another great idea to take to NATO, Prime Minister. A horrible wet and cold in southern England. I'm flying out to Tunisia.
Nice.
Tunisia looks nice. Is that the old Imperial leather advert? Was it? Tunisia looks nice. So warm
can't
and
remember.
nice here now, says Anna, with a slight breeze by the sea and some light clouds. Sea temperature around 20, so have had many dips in the ocean. That sounds lovely.
Nice.
I don't think it's
Sounds
as warm
lovely.
as that yet in San Martino de Porto Bay. Hola a todos, see you later, John. Feliz sexta-feira, meus compañeros campers. And that sounded Spanish, not Portuguese. Forgive me.
Yeah,
Good
but we
morning.
are going up towards the Spanish border.
We are. I'm getting ready. My castanets are being polished as
Are
we
you getting
speak.
ready to say buenos dias?
I know.
You got to say it with a smile on your
Okay,
face.
tell
Like
amigos.
what's his name says.
I'm going all. I'm just going to be Spain speaks. I'm going to step across the border and say, "Okay, tell amigos." Spain speaks here. Good morning, everyone from Andy. Check out his video as well. So many gifted
I've
YouTubers
seen
in our
it.
community.
It's
It's
really
good, isn't
good.
it? Yeah.
Very, very good.
Ancient Mariner. Good morning, everyone, except our resident. Oh, what's happened?
What's happened?
What happened to our resident mermaid?
Who is your resident
I didn't know we
mermaid?
even had a resident.
Oh, is
mermaid.
it me? Because I've got like green hair usually.
Oh, I said,
No,
don't know.
is that
But he wouldn't leave you out of the greetings, would he? What do you mean,
No.
ancient mariner? Bon dia, Colin Gumbers from a dry mile, Belfast, 7 degrees. Should be close to double that by 1 o'clock. And start of a bank holiday. Oh, of course. When's May Day? Is it Monday? Is that?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, it must be.
Bank holiday Monday the 1st.
Does that mean you get a day off as well?
No, don't be ridiculous. But yes, last day of April. Where's that gone? Is Sunday. Incredible. Okay, there you go. Thank you for that warning and reminder there, Deagle. Good morning to you. I think it's about 7 degrees here too in the UK. Deagle says the ancient mariner. Sarah saying good morning to you, Sarah. And Darren. And Bon dia Alegria from Pete. Only here for 15 minutes. You may have gone already, in fact, as I have a massive TV and speaker box to build so we can watch it from the pool. Oh, is it Eurovision? Hoping the rain will hold off.
Oh, is it Eurovision weekend?
It might be.
We should have done a
He might be
sweepstake.
setting up for the Eurovision. Brilliant drone work.
I hope
Chris.
you have a good party, Pete.
Yeah. Pete's afraid of wind. And
Is he?
Yeah, or concerned about Chris Capricorn 12's drone being blown away.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I was really curious about is how do you put it on that circular trajectory? Because, like,
you can map that.
Can you?
Yeah.
I mean, I of course, you're a fellow drone pilot, aren't you? You've had your full pilot drone
I am
training.
droning on and on for days. Yeah.
But, I mean, I was like, you almost need a virtual compass and a piece of string and to go around.
Everyone needs a virtual compass in life.
Yeah.
They do. But yeah, it's all programmable.
Okay.
These things are amazing. You don't even have to get out of bed. You can program it from your bed and send it down to the Algarve if the battery life is there.
I don't think
They are incredible. They'll follow you. They'll go on courses that you plot. It's amazing, the technology. And they need to make them quieter. That drone noise does annoy me, I've got to say. But what incredible footage they create. Longest weekend then. Suze, happy weekend all. Hello, Suze. How are you feeling?
Suze.
Bon dia, ladies. Wow, Louisa, Suze, hope you're feeling better. And Swede in Portugal. He said, works the room, starting with the ladies, doesn't he?
Well, that's a good. I think that's a good trait.
And we've got secret listening in the doctor's waiting room. What should we do? Should we have a bit of fun with this?
What go nurse?
Or nurse? Yes, bring the screens. or let's shout. Help!
Is there a
help! I'm being held. I'm being held hostage in Deagle's bag. Mr. McKinnon, over here. Help! Remember that place, doctor's waiting room. It's an empty bar. Me either. I'm special, already sick. I'm not sure what you mean there, but yeah,
I think they've cleared the room for him.
Oh, really?
He's like sat in a room on his own, a waiting room.
Listening
So in
secretly
fact,
to
they're not
phone.
going to hear us if we're like yelling nurse.
He's okay, but he's going to the phlebotomist / vampire today.
I don't understand why it's called phlebotomy.
I don't know. Maybe it's so that you go the first time you're all curious, like, oh, I'm going to see the phlebotomist today,
And then
whatever
after
that
that,
is.
you're
You're like,
Screw that! I'm not going back
Yes,
there.
I think that's how it is.
Yeah.
Hello, bon dia. I heard yesterday. Did you say this yesterday that you're building a wallapini? Were you turning your pool?
Really?
I think he's turning his
my
pool
goodness,
into a
that
greenhouse.
is one of my dreams.
It is, isn't
actually,
it?
most people dream of a pool. I dream of
Not having a pool.
Having the empty pool that I can fill in and make a nice wallapini in.
A nice wallapini.
Yeah.
Okay, Viana de Costello, come see me. I was hoping we might be able to see you, Sarah, this weekend.
It'd be lovely if we could.
And if not this one soon. Oh, don't lose your memory dipping into the Lima River. Do you understand what's going on there, Miss Sam?
No, is it freezing cold?
No, when the Romans were beating a retreat,
Uh-huh.
their leader beckoned them into the water, and it was a foggy day. Apparently, legend has it. And the centurions thought if they went in there, it would be like Hades or some terrible place that they believed in, and they would die or lose their memories emerging from the other side. So, thinking quickly, the leader waded into the water, went to the other side of the water, and called his men by name, thus proving that you do not lose your memory.
Oh.
But he probably just shouted out Maximus, didn't he? And then he just
And
shouted
then
out,
everyone
"No,"
went, yeah, here.
or yes, or Spartacus, and they all said, "I am." Yeah. Anyway, Reverend
The
Joe
funny
says,
thing
"God."
is, like, don't lose your memory. I mean, you've got a really good memory for facts
And stories like that.
and stories,
Yeah.
but you've got a terrible memory for like what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do that, do you?
What to prove that?
Go dipping in
I might have to
Postalima.
recreate
But
that.
you could take that bit of beach merkin that you found from a couple of days
Did
ago.
we save
and
that
your
or not?
mankini.
Okay.
We
Well,
can
and
go and get some-
recreate that in a modern style.
Yeah. Wow, Joe looks great.
Doesn't he look good? We're going to bring him on so you can
Can he
all
hear?
appreciate
Can he hear
it.
you?
Of course he can hear us.
But he's not showing that he's being complimented.
He's doing blue steel at the moment.
Is
That's
he?
why
He's like
he's not
this.
being put off his game by our comments about him. The ball's in.
What a legend.
The ball's in Pontalima. Pick coming. I'm going to vet that first. I think
it got away.
Sarah Taylor, you rascal. And there is a movement in the force this morning.
Is there?
Who doesn't like a movement in the force first thing in the morning? The North is anticipating an auspicious visitation this afternoon.
Woo.
Oh, thank you. Carnegie, that says, doesn't it? Carnegie. Dale Carnegie. I think that's right. Okay. All right. Let's not, without further ado, let's bring him among us, shall we?
Yes.
The Reverend Joe. Top billing. Let's stick him up there, shall we?
Absolutely.
How are you?
Joe, you're
this morning,
looking
Rev Joe?
lovely. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. How are you guys?
We're having fun hanging out this morning. I'm so delighted to be complimented by your goodness this
Yeah.
morning. You are in the UK, of course. Which part of the UK? You're in Devon at the moment?
I'm in London today.
What's London like at the moment?
London is busy, and it's one of those weird places, isn't it, where it's kind of amazing because you've got this incredible diversity. You know, you see all these kind of, like in Devon, they're kind of a monochrome type of person. And I stand out like a sore thumb. In London, it's like this amazing diversity of so many different people, cultures, and smells and sights and all sorts of things. And yet there's also this sense that don't talk to me. Like, I don't want to know.
Really?
Yeah, just enjoy the smells, but
Yeah.
do not talk to me. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it's just an
Where in
interesting.
London are you?
Quite the contrast then to Devon.
Yeah, it is. We're in we're actually in Golders Green at the moment, staying at someone's house because our eldest daughter is in a hospital in Mill Hill in London. So we're kind of about 15-20 minutes from there. So very, very thankful that someone's got somewhere to stay for us. Actually, it's quite helpful. So yeah. So we're here for a couple of days to see my eldest.
Well,
While she's
love
here.
to all the
love
family for sure.
Thank you.
That's a bit of a cliche on phone-ins, isn't it? Love to the family.
Yeah.
Comedy has been made of that, but truly mean that. Love to you all,
I know.
John. Thanks for fitting us in
Yeah.
as well. And you are the most radical reverend I know, and you are here offering friendship, fellowship, and it's not right to call it a sermon, but an idea, to riff upon an idea with the attitude of gratitude. The theme you suggested to me, which I was intrigued by and would love to develop this morning, is clinging on to goodness. I get a sense of it. The clinging, there are many among us who are clinging on at the moment, I think it's fair to say. Suffering is quite a personal thing, isn't it? We live in a world of superficiality, social media, where we're presenting our best side, often with makeup on and filters. And beneath that, behind that, can be struggling and suffering that people are going through, and it's best not to forget that, and to be compassionate and available to people as you are. I mean, that is your middle name, which is quite a long middle name. That is what you do. So clinging on to goodness. What are you thinking there?
Well, I think when you're going through times of immense suffering and times where things are really, really difficult, it's easy to get lost within that, isn't it? You sort of get overwhelmed. So you're sitting in the boat, and having been a fisherman, it's sitting in a boat is a really pertinent analogy for my life at times. And there's times where we felt, certainly as a family, where we're kind of in a boat in the middle of a storm, the waves are crashing, the rain's hammering down, it's dark, it's windy, and you can't actually see where you're going. And the goodness bit is that there's times where someone is in a lighthouse and they're just casting a light, and they're saying, it's all right, I see you, head this way, I promise, I've got you. And you trust. That's that trust moment, isn't it, where you're following the light, following the goodness of somebody else who's kind of stepped back a little bit from your immediate situation, and they're able to draw you away from the danger, perhaps through the storm, to a place of safety. And for me, there's been so many people certainly over the last year, have acted as like lighthouses to us, you know, because it's hard to see beyond the immediacy of your own pain at times. And so others, so you talk about me being the one, but for me, I've felt so many others like stepping into that role, like saying it's okay this way. And it's the smallest of acts, isn't it? Sometimes you think, oh, to be a good person, I have to kind of change the world. But actually, you can only change the immediacy of your own world at that very moment, can't you? Sorry.
Oh, mate. I felt a massive heart opening this morning. What's he done to us? Oh, bless you, man. It's so right what you're saying. It is so absolutely right. And I'm sure people can resonate.
I'm sure everyone's.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. And it's
I've
I'm
got
sorry
something
too.
I've got something in my eye too, actually.
This always happens, mate.
What does he do to us, this guy?
You return us to our humanity, Joe.
Yes.
Bless you.
you know, that's the bit. It's humanity connects. Bang! It's like, and it's those small things. You know, someone just leaves a little parcel on the front doorstep, just and thinking of you, or you know, or you're in kind of, you need someone to just help with something, and they just, yeah, no problem. Like, it's literally no big, and it is no big deal. And or just someone sees your pain and just says, I acknowledge it, you know. And that's the clinging on, because goodness isn't well, at times goodness is these kind of grand gestures, but so much more often it's the tiny things, the things that go on, the unremarkable things that we forget about. It's that punch holes in the darkness, don't they? And then the light sort of starts to break through. And for me, that's
things, arguably
the doable things. Absolutely, yeah. Because it feels too much sometimes. You look at the world and you think, you know, wow. And it's that sort of wonderful quote from Mother Teresa, which I often use, is that someone said to her, you know, do you not feel like what you're doing is just a drop in the ocean? And she said, yeah, but without the drops, you don't have the ocean. And for me, it's that over and over. The drops just keep dripping in, and you know, because there is a sense that we're disconnected from our humanity, from one another's humanity so often, you know. And there's this phrase, the hyper real, like everything around us. So that I heard this crazy story about Disneyland or Disney World in Florida, and their sewage system pumps I know their sewage system pumps the sewage like 100 miles away from Disneyland or Disney World or something like that, like a hell of a long distance, because it's like you can't have the smell of shit in Disney World, can you? Because that'd break the illusion, wouldn't it, of this hyper real
metaphor of our times, isn't it?
Absolutely. So it's like you walk into Disney World and everything has to be, it's like this hyper reality, which becomes the new reality, but it's no reality at all. And that's what kind of social media is doing to us. That's what this disconnection in our humanity is doing to us. It's like we have to pretend that everything is a certain way, and then it no longer exists as the real thing anymore. And that Disney World thing for me just sums everything up about kind of the state that we're in. And so when we connect with our humanity again, it's so deeply moving, isn't it? You suddenly think, bang, like I've hit something that I need. This is what I need, and it's been lost. And please help me to rediscover it and find it and connect to it again. And for me, that's the clinging on to goodness, you know, because our goodness is the fact that we are human becomings together, you know.
Human becomings. Oh, Joe, Rev Joe, so good to have you here this morning. My goodness. Rev Joe brings a tear at love from I think suddenly people thought, what's going on? these two jokers are messing about, laughing about things, making smutty innuendo for half an hour, and then suddenly they're crying with this new guy on the screen. What? It's a roller coaster ride.
It really is a roller coaster.
Not a
ride.
Disneyland one. We should.
No, hopefully not.
Yes, Squire of the Shires, a simple emoji response. So we get you. We see you, Squire of the Shires. Punch holes in the darkness. Yeah,
I really love that.
Isn't
phrase.
that beautiful?
It's amazing.
And that reminds me of, you know, when you're a kid and you discover a hole punch for the first time. I'm with so many people working from home. Children these days are being deprived of that opportunity of going and ruining their parents' workplace, aren't they? Destroying things, breaking the photocopier. Yeah, but when you discover the hole punch, that's quite a good moment for parents, isn't it? Because you like sit there and punch holes in this piece of paper, and that keeps them busy for 15 minutes, especially the really conscientious kids who try and punch holes out of the paper so much so that there's no paper left. And that's what our world could be like, isn't it? Yeah. If enough of us punched a little hole in the darkness, we'd end up with no paper, no heavy dark paper, man, left at all, except in the receptacle of the hole punch, which every kid then finds out, oh, what's in here?
Opens it up.
And the parent, who's been really delighted that they've been busy for half an hour, now has a job to do, cleaning up all those little dots in the office there. Oh, amazing, Joe. Happy tears. What these tears? I mean, I could feel as soon as you joined us on screen, I could feel my heart opening.
Yeah, me too.
And then I was lost. And in a fantastic way, I hasten to add. To me, clinging on to goodness also means having faith when all we have are milestones and we cannot see further than the current one. And that's when that brilliance of the lighthouse and someone's act of kindness blesses us, isn't it, from time to time? That
was when
you lost it, did you?
Yeah.
Fabrizio, good morning to you. Lovely to see you here. Are you back from Japan? With this energy and being grateful towards life, you are already changing the world. Thanks so much. How about that? Goodness is widely available to all of us, is a power we can all tap into, and is the easiest to access. And it's funny that, isn't it? You know, every time you see like an investment ad on the telly or on the radio, remember that the value of your investments can go up as well as down. Why don't we have? Remember, goodness is widely available to all of us and can be chosen at any time as a small print for every day of our lives, because it's true, isn't it?
Well, it should be big print. It shouldn't be.
Yes, it shouldn't be squeezed in at the end of the advert. It should be the advert, shouldn't it? Screw the adverts. This public service announcement. Goodness is widely available. Remember that, everybody. Oh, Joe. Okay. Mrs. M, were you wiping your tears on my macrame bikini bottoms?
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
Oh dear. Okay. It's a long story.
Yeah, I've got all the time.
Tell me about it. Yeah, sit down. Tell me all about it. So, clinging on to goodness. Then, you are available, of course. As I was going to call you the industrial pasta. That conjures up a
huge lasagna. I'm just a huge lasagna.
She's a huge lasagna of love.
Many layers.
With
many layers. Yeah, very good.
And that is what you do, isn't it? I mean, how is you're writing, you're ministering? What's going on for you? I mean, I know you've got quite the challenge on at the moment, family-wise. Are you writing? Are you?
Yeah, I'm still writing. I've got so I've just had a couple of books, new books, accepted for publication. So one's like a horror novel that is based on a true story from 1884 when a boat set sail from Portsmouth to go down to sail around the Cape, around South Africa and up to Australia, but it got shipwrecked in the South Atlantic Ocean. And so these 4 crew were like in a lifeboat, and they were stuck in the South Atlantic Ocean. And they ended eating the cabin boy. This is a true story from 1884. Yeah, cannibalism and everything. So
all of life is
life. So the Captain Tom Dudley, would have likely have worked with my great grandfather Boatman Howard in the Tollesbury River in Essex. So there's a connection there. So when I discovered this story and the connection, I thought I want to write about this. So I've written a novel about the kind of the journey and what happened, and added some sort of even I don't need to really add any horror twist because cannibalism is horrific enough. But I've sort of made it.
It sets a low bar. Let's face
Yeah.
it.
How do you get into the mindset of it to be able to write the characterization, of people thinking, like how long did in your book, in your imagination, how long did it take them to decide to kill and eat a boy?
Takes a little while, and there's a kind of there's a real wrestling, and I kind of do it in such a way that there's a voice kind of whispering in their ear about doing it, and they're sort of
looks
wrestling with it.
tasty.
Yeah.
It's like those cartoons, isn't it, that you see where the dog is looking at the cat as a
Yeah,
as an oven-ready cat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if I want to sort of give too much of the story away, but it's a historical fact, isn't it? I mean, they killed him to eat him. He didn't die, and it wasn't one of those.
He was, so historically, apparently he was dying because he'd been drinking seawater, and so he was really, really unwell.
But pre-seasoned as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but they ended up actually killing him. He wasn't dead, and they killed him. And then when they got back to the UK, they got rescued back to the UK, and then there was a massive trial around what should happen. Should they be put in prison? Should they have the death penalty? Should they be released and all that? So I explored all of that in the book, and then changed tack a little bit. So I hopefully it'll be kind of an interesting read for people. So I've got that, and then I've got some other writing going on. Still doing ministry in the community, trying to support people as best I can in the community, doing various things, walking alongside people, trying to be a listening ear in a time where it's hard to be heard. And then a couple of things which I'm just trying to work through as well. Possible kind of avenues maybe that I'm just looking at, which hopefully I've got a meeting next week to look at one thing. So there's lots going on.
Anyway, if we can help in any way,
Thank you.
Tell them you're Good Morning Portugal's favourite radical reverend. That'll seal the deal.
Absolutely.
Where can we buy your books? Where can we send people to buy the book when it comes out?
Once I know what the publisher's doing, I'll let you know. And because I'd really, I mean, the horror novel would be great for people to pick up and look at. But I'll keep you informed as to when that's available. That'd be great if people.
And I really understand why you'd have chosen that story. That historical. Because we learned about this recently. There was an American episode, isn't there, or a moment where cannibalism again. It's like. It really is the great sort of moral maze, isn't it, for human beings to ponder this? Would you? Could you? And you're thinking, I would never do that. But then, of course, you're not in the circumstances that these people were in when it's getting close to survival and how that might change you. And I'm not, this is not a serving suggestion or anything like that, but you can understand, can't you, how that might develop? And what a great moral dilemma. And I'm thinking, the moments when they're rescued, it's like, we're so glad to have found you. Are you all there? No, we don't have the cabin boy anymore. And then that emerges, that part of the story emerges, and they have to explain themselves. Incredible.
And it's really interesting. Like in the book, I kind of wrestle with that. Like one of them's like, well, I've got a family, I've got 3 kids at home, I've got a wife, I should survive. What's the point of me, all of us dying? When some of us could survive and go back to our family, and that sort of wrestling with that morality and that ethic, so which I'm sure they had. There's a bit of transcript, that I've from the court case that I've incorporated back into the book, in terms of their conversations they had on the boat and that kind of moral dilemma. And then I've added bits in terms of how would I feel, what would I say if I was in that position. So.
And what would you say?
I don't know, because there's that bit, isn't there? So again, going back to kind of the Easter story of Jesus, like there's a bit where he's on trial, and one of the guys says it's better that one man dies to save the rest of us. In other words, if we don't get rid of this bloke, there's going to be a riot. It's going to cause a mass panic in the city, and we're going to end up having a massive problem. So better kill someone in order to save the rest of us. And how often has that been done over the years? Through history.
Yes, there is one notable individual, of course, who died for our sins, we're told, and who was killed such that others may survive.
And not trying to detract from your story, but as you're talking about that, I see that happening in every family. You know, there is that
Scapegoat.
Yeah.
most families will have a scapegoat that
Absolutely.
My
is
goodness.
isolated
Oh my
to
word.
make the rest of the family work as a healthy unit, you know,
And safe.
and you know, I'm guessing that your story explores the darkness that most people can't tolerate within themselves, because we all have darkness, obviously, or the fact that we call it darkness versus light, you know, and we go into this kind of polarity battle.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're in a cannibal.
what I'm hearing from what you're sharing is that there's darkness that we can't process, and so we put it on to other people.
And what Silence of the Lambs being the notable example. That character is made so horrific, isn't it? That we can do that. We can project. You know, I'd never do that.
In your story,
yeah.
I mean, in your story, you know, I'm wondering, you know, how you got them to do that. I wonder if in your story your characters started to treat the little cabin boy a bit differently, like dehumanize him before they actually offed him.
The parallels are really unnervingly
Because that is
uncomfortable.
that is what happens in the world, isn't it? You know, before we start brutalizing people and murdering them, we you know, we or collectively, there is this dehumanization that takes place.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you look at
so many issues, Joe.
Well, you're absolutely spot on, because, you know, like if you look at the UK at the moment, the way that the language and the rhetoric around people fleeing war, you know, the language is always, you know, dehumanized, you know, so they're no longer human beings seeking security. They're an invasion, or they're trying to take away our liberty, or they're trying to destroy our way of life, or whatever it might be. But it's always dehumanized language. And so once you dehumanize, you can then do whatever the hell you want to them, because they're no longer human beings. So it's, you're absolutely right. And you're right in the family setup, that, you know, how, you know, I'm discovering this within my own family, you know, not my immediate family, but looking back through my childhood, you go, yes, there is always a scapegoat, and there is always a golden child. And that's the way that it works, you know. And so it's how you kind of, you know, step back and look at within your own heart and say, how do I reconnect to the humanity around me, and not act in those ways? It's really important, isn't it? So to see in the face of everybody a human being that is loved and precious and beautiful, like that is the thing we keep driving towards, don't we? Saying, you are beautiful, you know. And I find that hard sometimes, because I sometimes look at certain political leaders and I find it really hard to see their humanity. I do. I think, oh, you know, there's a kind of a revulsion in me. But you have to say, how can I see them as human beings who are loved and beautiful as well, but are expressing their darkness? And again, come back, how do you punch holes in that darkness and get their humanity to shine through again? That's hey, that's too big for someone like me, but maybe collectively we've got a chance, you know.
Quite. And yes, when we, I guess if you were looking at this, the idea of those who dehumanize others, their act of dehumanization is a cry for help as well, isn't it? Because we can forget that too, can't we? It's that's their fear speaking. And if we can punch a hole in the darkness of their fear, it's like, okay, you're dehumanizing other people. I hear you. There must be, and that to me is what's missing from the political arena at the moment, is understanding people's fear. And it's a mechanism, isn't it? It's a tired old political trope to make people fearful, and they'll do stuff that could be politically advantageous, and we can get carried away in the judgment of their beastliness, rather than knowing that they've been triggered, activated, manipulated with their emotions. To do terrible things. Incredible. Joe, what have you brought with you this morning? Ubi has come in and said, is he watching a cannibalism conversation? Bon Dia, did I join her? Yes, you did. We didn't expect to be having this. I mean, a few minutes earlier, you'd have seen a woman wiping her face with some macrame underpants as well. We've got everything this morning, and we learned that Disneyland has its waste products flushed away 100 miles away, I think you said, Joe. Logistical efficiency of Disney World was mind-blowing. Not surprised to learn they send the waste away far, far away. I think Jesus would have been at the other end of the pipe with the people who had to live there with Disney's effluent. Add that to the end of your show. Well, okay. At the end, we can say, be kind whenever possible, everybody. At the end of the show, it's always possible to be kind as well. And that's the thing, isn't it? Another part of the message, if you like, Joe, is these things become cliches, don't they? Be kind whenever possible. I mean, just quoting the Dalai Lama at the moment will activate and trigger people. Dalai Lama's messages aren't what they used to be, are they anymore? Because of what's
Absolutely.
happened. And we have to. The beauty of you being here, the beauty of the wise, the holy person, the sermon on a good day is cutting through the cliches, because these things, once we keep repeating things like be kind whenever possible, it's always possible, and there's truth in that and we can see it. But if I were to say it at the end of every show, it would lose its meaning, wouldn't it? And
Absolutely.
that's why I think we have to have the reminder, don't we? We have to have it. We have to speak of it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and this is something we've often, previously we've often spoken about in private as well, is the idea of authentic speech, isn't it? This is what authentic speech does. It cuts through, so these things do become cliches. And so authentic speech isn't just about saying what's true. It's about trying to cut through the hyper real, the stuff that gets in the way, because truth then can become just another facade, a thing that you hang up and look at and admire. Authentic speech, I think, is more than that. It cuts through everything and says, this is what's really going on, and it can be really uncomfortable. And sitting in that place is difficult, isn't it? Because you have to then look in the mirror as well and say, okay, what's going on with me? And so it takes a lot of courage to speak authentically and say, this is what is really going on. And that's why people don't, we live in a world of hyper positivity as well. Everything's got to be amazing all the time. And so when you kind of speak out and say, well, hey, maybe that's not so good, you're called a pessimist, or whatever it might be. And it's like, we need to find ways to hold the challenge of how things aren't always so beautiful, that some things need to be spoken out with real honesty, that brings the positivity down a notch, because it's not all like bells and sunshine all the time, isn't it? It's just not. But it's okay to speak out, and it's okay to then through that to look at the goodness and to celebrate that, but in reality, say that this is how things really are. It's all right to hold that,
Oh, thanks, Joe. And at this moment, someone who is a great encourager of our community to speak authentically is Mama Bear. She has had a life-threatening diagnosis that she shared with some of the people in our community yesterday. That's the situation she's in. She's being amazing about it, as you might expect. But I mention it just so that anyone who didn't know that can reach out to her and send her love.
Send him so much love.
Yeah, absolutely. So she has quite the health condition to contend with. So sending love to you, Mama Bear, and if others could do that as well, that would be wonderful. And so a few more comments. I know you're going to be leaving us in a few minutes, Joe. Do give our love to London. Wishing your eldest all the best, Joe. I see small acts of kindness every day in Portugal. Yesterday, my money dropped out of my shorts in MacD's, and the guy opposite pointed it out. In London, it would have been nicked. Mind you, I wouldn't have been wearing shorts. Did you have some nice macrame shorts on, I'm wondering, Pete, in McDonald's? And they wouldn't judge you for that, I don't think, in Castilla Branco. Great to see you here, Rev Joe, again today. Love from Bob there. And smash that like button. Emotion can be as powerful as faith. That's opening another can of worms, isn't it there? Cheers, definitely. Paul. Good morning, friends from Puthshire. From Abel, good morning to you. I look forward, this is lovely, James, to the day no one feels the need to apologise for their tears. And did we apologise? I think it is kind of human response, isn't it, to do that?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I said sorry. Yeah.
Well, British, you're allowed that. I mean, it's automatic. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me.
What came over me? All this emotion.
Damn you, emotion! was in a plane crash in the early 70s. In Peru, where some 8 others to survive. It's a known thing, isn't it, for humans to do this? Of course, the Portuguese earthquake, I think it happened there as well. And for the witness, here we go. So let's put this together. I look forward to the day no one feels the need to apologise for their tears, and for the witness to say, "I honour your tears." How about that?
Very good. That's good
Can you
stuff.
do it again and not apologise this time? Yes, I've definitely got something in my eye again. Yes, and his body is still being eaten in some churches. Talking of the holy cannibalism, oh my goodness. And yes, you did, Ubi, but I hope there's a little bit more context since you joined us. The answer is in the stars. The answer, and I was reading that, I just saw a preview of that. Of course, you're referring to astrology there, which Mrs. M does. And helps people with. It's like a reflection, though, isn't it, Mrs. M? You know, the help is all around us. Astrology being one of the tools of help.
I just think it's a language.
Yeah.
You know, but like you say, there are so many metaphors and so many different ways that we can connect to the goodness that Joe's talking about.
Yes.
It's not for everyone, but
well, find your way. That's the thing, isn't it? Find the way that makes sense to you. We can criticize each other's systems, and we do, don't we? Our metaphors and our mirrors.
Yeah.
And we spend so much time saying, that's no good, I don't believe in that, rather than like, well, I found one that works for me and I'm just going to quietly get on with it. What would be wrong with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, family systems, scapegoat, star child, invisible child, oppressor. He's gonna start me off again with this sort of talk. Enabler, mediator. Oh my goodness, dehumanization.
Do you know what I think goes beyond the stories is the intention that you have behind it. Like, you know, you could use like the strangest or like the most destructive systems to be able to find a message and a metaphor, but it's like, what is in your heart behind it? You know, when you're trying to seek wisdom or trying to find that story that motivates you to create change or transform or whatever.
Come in front of your microphone, Mrs. M.
I'm sorry, I was
are you leaning out of the picture? Literally, you're going.
I am about to go out of the picture.
Okay.
But when Joe was talking about you know, the mirror image, I was very conscious of the fact that for the most of the show, I've been sat like this, looking like I'm looking away from Joe. And actually, I'm looking right in your eyes, but it's a mirror image. And so I've turned myself around.
Let me see if I can help with that. All right.
Damn these mirror images. I am because I can hear a little bit of a situation kicking off, and we've got to prepare for our journey.
Thank you for being with us.
And also,
Mrs.
I need to have a good old sob as well.
Let the rest of that out.
Yeah, because the other thing, you know, talking about cannibalism, the other thing is
as we were.
In light of what was it Tabitha that said, you know, and you know, maybe the body of Christ is still being eaten in some churches or something like that. We eat ourselves up with things.
Yeah.
You know, so there's so many different you know, it reaches us on so many different levels.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you for being here. Don't go just yet, because it'd be nice if you crossed over with Frank, unless you do have to leave suddenly. You'll
crossed
let me know,
over? Oh my God.
That's all right, I've got a couple of minutes. Okay.
No, not that sort of crossover. Oh gosh.
Joe, I love you, and I love your family, and I look forward to catching up again soon.
Yeah, sending you lots of love.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs.
Thank you for opening my heart so massively today.
Yes,
that was beautiful.
Opening the heart and the tear ducts beautifully this morning. Fantastic.
You're
all
amazing.
Right, Mrs. M. Well, there you go. I hate doing that. It's like Zoom calls, isn't it? They're so button, isn't it? They need a fade button, don't they, on Zoom, rather than just
fade. Yeah.
That'd be great. Love the idea of punching a hole in someone's darkness to let the light in. I mean, we're here for each other. We are each other's hole punches. To use the station, to carry on with the stationary metaphor, to staple each other together as well in common humanity. Dehumanization is old hat. Now it's demonization. It's been upgraded. Ubi says, in Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land, the Martian dead are honored and immortalized through their flesh being consumed by the community. Well, thanks, Ubi, for that. And to do otherwise, wasteful desecration. Oh my goodness. Love to Mama Bear. Yeah, thank you for that. And sending Mama Bear all our love as well. For that, Andrew Gilchrist. Nice words, Joe. Very welcoming. Love to Mama Bear from Deagle and from Baddie. And I had a little jet lag myself. There you go. The Italian man making it an excuse there. It's usually us Brits. I didn't think for an Italian it would be a problem. But yeah, thank you, Fabrizio, for being here and being so open and honest about that. We'll have a hug and a cry together one of these days, I'm sure. I've imagined that ancient cultures had similar ritual symbolic significance with cannibalism. Frank's just joined us. He has a great interest in food in Portugal. He's just joined us again at an awkward moment when we're talking about cannibalism. We're not going there, Frank, don't worry. Let's bring him onto the screen now. Hello. How are you doing, Frank?
Not bad. How about you?
I'm pretty good. We've had a little weep this morning. We've had some open-hearted connection this morning, and I'm sure that will continue with you.
Really? Open-hearted connection here? How does that happen?
Don't be like that. I was born in Rome. Tell me about the bad side of believing. Oh, okay. And just remember, it's nice to be nice. That's that's a very basic, a brilliant way of putting it. Thanks, Joe, as well, from Fabrizio. Love you, Joe, he says as well. Isn't that wonderful? I also recall reading how Native American tribes would consume the heart and flesh of defeated enemy to gain their power. What have you joined here, Frank? Where is he's here, Frank? Antonio is glad to see you as well. And Tabitha is off for breakfast, having had all those serving suggestions this morning. Frank, no. Right. Joe, thank you so much. Gentlemen, a brief crossover here, but two of my favorite fellas, sandwiched between two of the biggest hearts I know. It's a real pleasure for me, and I extend that to the Good Morning Portugal community this morning. So, yeah, like I said before, love to you, Joe.
Love to you.
And all the very best. And let us know, all of us here, how we can help you in any way with the projects or anything, of course.
Thank you. I will. I'll let you know. Sending lots of love, pushing my love to you, and hope that.
Yeah, we felt it. Thank you, Reverend Joe from Squire of the Shires as well. So we give you a lovely big round of applause. And there's no other way of doing this except I can't do a fade. I've just got to kick you off the show. I really hate to do it. All right, mate. Take care.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love to London.
Take care, Reverend.
The radical Rev. Oh, he got us going this morning. We were crying on the screen there.
There was a lot of kissing and hugging going on. What the hell is going on with you these days, Carlito?
Oh, where do I start? Let's get a couple of beers and talk about it, shall we?
Yeah.
You are a different kind of radical reverend, aren't you? A beer-based reverend. Is that a fair description of you?
What kind of cheapo do you think I am? I'm an Espumante-based.
Okay, crack the bottle of fizz and let's talk about it.
Exactly.
How you been? What's going on in the Algarve?
I'm doing very, very well. First of all, thanks for inviting me, and more importantly, it's very nice to see you. You know what? One thing I've realized. You know, there are a lot of your audience members who've kept on asking you about, what you do, about your complexion, how you keep your skin together.
No, there are not a lot.
And whatever. And you never answer them. I kind of find at times that even though you're not known to be rude, but, I see that and I say, you know what, Carlito, please, give in to your audience sometimes. Tell them what your secret is. This fountain of youth that we see in front of us every morning. We need to know how this happens.
Frank, this is all that's wrong with the internet. You say audience, and it's just one person asking me about my skincare regime, and that person turns out it was you as a so-called Facebook user. Of course, my complexion is moisturized by the tears of my pain, as people saw this morning.
Oh, there you go. I knew you would hit that one out of the park. Of course you would. See, I give you a nice high ball for you to hit it properly.
I did it justice. And how are your plans to move to Moldova coming on?
The plans to move to Moldova are going all right. How's Bobby O'Reilly?
He's doing good now. Listen, Bobby tunes in and he might join us at your invitation there. But you've got a very highly tuned what are you calling it, like expat entitlement sensor, right? And I think you do get a bit miffed from time to time, don't you? If there's any criticism of the culture in Portugal.
Well, along with that, I've got this edit mechanism that failed quite a long time ago, and this edit mechanism between the heart, mind, and mouth failed a while back. So that's why whenever I see expats, and especially the super entitled ones, right next to me at a restaurant, I take the liberty to introduce myself. And
you have done that from time to time, haven't you,
yes.
In the Algarve? Now, we're not talking specifically about Bobby here, although you were, I think, triggered by some of the conversations we've been having recently where we're making certain...
Yeah, can we deal with that conversation? Can we unpack that?
I thought that's what you were here to do. I think it's really useful because I've changed, Frank, and I want to confess to you. I guess we've We've kind of swapped one
Stop it.
reverend
You
over.
know what? You can't even do that with a straight face. Okay, go ahead.
No, you are somebody who I can absolutely open up my heart to, and that's what's so fascinating about you and Joe, two of my great buddies. And like I say, the sandwich of compassion and great big-heartedness here on Feel Good Friday on the Good Morning Portugal show. But I've got to say, your approaches are different, aren't they? You and Joe,
Yes.
you come from different disciplines or backgrounds or faith systems, and I absolutely love your ethics and view of life. And I thought this was a very useful conversation. This thing about us being respectful guests. We've talked about this a lot, haven't we? And you've got a very low tolerance for people, I think, criticizing Portuguese culture. And I'm declaring that I've changed a little bit. In the early days of my life here, I was just wanted to be a completely well-behaved, newbie and not criticize and adjust to the culture. And more recently, I'm thinking I do want to have some representation from the expat immigrant community about things that could possibly be done differently, that would be for the greater good of the country. So I've shifted, and in that shift and in those conversations we've been having, I think you might have taken offense.
Not necessarily. As a matter of fact, I want more participation by the expats, but it's just the way we do things. It's just the way we word things. The entitlement factor comes into play.
Yeah.
That comes into play when you are talking about certain things, but then what you do is in a very interesting way. This is what we do coming from Northern Europe or North America, is whenever we word things, we put it in a way that, hey, you know what? This thing, we know how these things are done. We do it so well back home. You know, all you have to do is take that approach that we've got back home and bring it over here. It's common sense, isn't it? And just do that, and it will be amazing. I know exactly what you need.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, as you're saying that in a very well-intentioned way, you are completely taking a dump on a culture that has been around for so many years. These people have been doing these things for so many years. I forget about whenever I tell people that, where I am originally from, I usually tell people this is my home, right? So whenever I tell people that this is my home, this is what I do, this is where I live, I, as a Portugueser, kind of get very offended on behalf of this country when people come and say these kinds of things. Hey, man, we came over here for a reason. Respect it, love it. And if you want to make changes, if you want to make suggestions and whatever, there are ways to do it. Your actions will speak for you. However, don't come over here and anyway, even a very nice way, be like, oh, their social service system, if only they would do that, whatever. Hey, listen, we all know it's not a perfect country. However, we don't come from a perfect country ourselves, do we?
Well,
where do we come from?
Well, we've got away from that. Yeah, we got away from that.
In Canada, we've got, like, even though we charge people 36 to 40% taxes, what we end up doing is we've got a pretty much failed medical system, a healthcare system. I'm quite sure your healthcare system isn't that amazing. There are a lot of things in our society that we come from that are not working very, very well. So I don't know who we're kidding. I don't know exactly.
That's why we left, of course.
And plus the weather. So if you think about the bonus of what we've got over here, let's not kid ourselves. And let's not put these little nicey things out there saying, things could be this way. Shut up already. Don't go on about this. I don't want to hear another immigrant go on about this. Respect this country, love this country, and keep your gab shut, man. Don't want to hear this no more.
Okay, mic drop moment there from Frank in the Algarve. And I have to say, I want to come back at you because I'm thinking we don't want another way of looking at this. Let's say, would be we've escaped. I feel like that I've escaped from a culture that is diminishing, that is seeing.
Don't you want Reverend Joe back now?
with a box of Kleenex. More
Yes!
cheerful. Yeah. No, I'm sure he'd have something to add to this conversation, of course. But I can see that I've escaped a country that is perhaps nearing the end of its former greatness. You know, this is what happens with
A
civilization.
former empire. Yes.
They rise and fall. This is this. You
Absolutely.
don't have to be too bright to pick up a history book and see that things aren't the same.
Keep celebrating King George. He ain't coming back.
Yeah. So, well, we'll come to that in just a moment about what you're doing on May the 6th, Frank, in your efforts to get us at least a CBE, if not an OBE.
Oh yes.
So we've come. Let's say we can own the fact that we've. This is a great and heavy duty conversation, actually, and I'm glad to be having. Look, this is.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, two beautiful faces in one shot. This is amazing. I don't know whose skin is better. Oh, there you go.
Oh, stop it with the skin thing. But I will be selling my Tears of Pain as a moisturizer as part of the Good Morning Portugal merchandise. Okay, let's accept, Frank, that we have moved away. We've seen the writing on the wall of our cultures. And our fellow countrymen might not thank us for that. That's all very well, you disappearing. You're saying that our cultures are on the wane, and I would say the UK can still be great, but it's not going the right way about it. And you might say the same thing about Canada, for example. Mm-hmm. So, and then you come to Portugal, and what you see, and my criticism of politics and the government here, is the problem with it, of course, is it's taking this culture that we love so much in the very same direction that we've escaped from. The neoliberalism, the fake socialism, the moving more and more, pretending to be socialist whilst actually it's socialism for the rich and capitalism for the poor. Wouldn't it be good to stick a spanner in those works, to see that direction of travel and thinking, no, we don't want the same thing to happen here that happened in the countries that we've escaped from?
But Carlito, you know what? Even that is a public sentiment, general public sentiment over here that somehow artificially we are responsible for as well. We have to take some responsibility to some extent. By we, I don't mean you and I, but because we don't have that kind of cash. But the people who are coming over here and who are overpaying for properties, the people who are coming over here and overpaying for goods, this is exactly why. I tell you, there's this place, very nice wine bar over here called Luzana. I went with an American friend. I think I've told you this story.
Oh, yeah,
before.
Yes, you did.
A bottle of wine for 20, and the dude leaves another 20 as tip. Do you know what happens to the Portuguese person who's sitting right next? First of all, they get very annoyed. Yeah. And this is not you being generous or anything. This is you being a complete arsehole. What you're doing is you are, for the person who's sitting right next to you, a Portuguese person who's just come out with his wife to have like a good time and whatever, just saying, why are you doing that, man? Because that just turns the expectation a completely different way. This is not how it works in this country. And that's why you will find that a lot of the local joints where the locals go to entertain, to drink, and whatever, you will not see a lot of immigrants, because we end up, what we've done is the impact that we've had on the housing market. No, mind you, there is, anyone who sells a house wants to make some kind of profit on it, but the problem is that sometimes people end up paying double without thinking, because what they have, for me, the problem is a state of mind. When you're moving from a country, don't tell me in Toronto right now, like let's say a one-bedroom apartment is 850,000, and the condo fees for that apartment will be about $800 per month, right? So if you've got that, I cannot bring that same price point to Portugal and say, oh, I'm getting a property that's much cheaper. No, first of all, you're a bozo, because you don't understand commerce and you don't understand which country you've arrived in. Based on this country, do your research and pay exactly what you should be paying. Yes, give the person some profit, but don't overpay. That's called being a donkey.
It is, but we live in a system where if you don't do that, somebody else will, right? They will come and price you out. And if by you withdrawing from that transaction is not going to stop that sale going ahead, is it?
If you think that way, then these prices are never going to. There's no way any local person will be able to buy anything anytime
And
soon.
that is a horrible reality of where we're at. That is what's going on here now, isn't it? And that's why I'm saying, you can demonstrate that, can't you? You can demonstrate the possible trajectory of that way of life. And the problem I see here is that for anyone wanting to do something different, they don't have a political ear open to them. So, for example, let's say from the point of view of devil's avocado here, which would be quite a good recipe, which I suspect we could do that justice at some point together.
Nice toast.
But if for example, you come from a culture, and let's say that in the North American culture, tipping and showing your appreciation with money is a way of life. Sometimes it's not people just showing off and bragging about their wealth. It's a cultural form of showing appreciation and how some people may even earn a living. Okay. So then you get that in the wine bar scenario you described, where somebody is bringing that over, and it's inappropriate in that surrounding. It's awkward. It's difficult. The staff and the fellow diners don't quite know how to deal with that because it just does seem a little bit.
The owner didn't want to take that tip. The owner was like kind of.
Yeah, right. You don't need to do that in here. That's not how we roll, and I totally get that. And what might be needed is for people who do want to show their appreciation and who want to change society in a good way, that 20 euros could be going into something useful like social housing, could it not? Or a political party that, as well as welcoming foreign investment, took a levy from the foreign investment and built homes for Portuguese people who are currently being priced out of the market. That's what we need to see, isn't it? Some imagination with this sort of stuff.
My way of saying that $20, go to Mercado Municipal the next day, do yourself a favor, get something healthy from there, support the local farmers. Go over there, engage with them, get whatever fresh fruits that they have, because every city has a Mercado Municipal.
Yeah.
And every city has the fish ladies who want to grab you and give you a nice hug and a kiss. So, like you go to the Mercado Municipal, spend that 20 over there, and no one wants a handout. This is the other thing that I don't understand about us when we come over here, is that we become like these charity people. So what we do is we participate in charities twice a year, like the shoebox charity and whatever. And after that, all your charity is done. No one wants charity. I have spoken to my Portuguese friends. They go, you know what? Rather than you people doing stuff like this, why don't you come over here and spend your money in our farmers markets, where locals come, where farmers are coming from there, picking their oranges and doing stuff like that. Just support the local folks so that they can. No one wants a handout. I just don't understand. When are we going to maybe understand this?
Well, if you keep coming here and you keep saying it, maybe the word will get through, and it is part of the cultural adjustment. I think going back to what Joe what Joe brought to us. I don't think it's all dark, is it? A lot of it is misplaced habit, and it's through these sorts of conversations that I think things get better, and that ideas can be heard.
Like another suggestion is like start hugging trees naked in Al Viagra. Like that's something to do.
I would recommend the macrame underpants in those sorts of situations, especially in the springtime, where the tree growth can be a little bit painful if it catches you the wrong way. Apparently, you and Owen are going to Wembley. Is that right?
That was the idea, but the thing is, I don't know if Owen wants me there, because first of all, he's going you've seen that guy's fashion sense. He's gonna come right next to me. He's gonna wear an ugly jersey, and I don't want to be seen with that ugly jersey. And plus, you know what the thing is, that he can't decide which one he wants because he's got like 6 or 7 of them. And I think he's going to come up with the burgundy one, or what was that? What's that fuchsia? because they have one in fuchsia as well.
Fuchsia. Or the
Exactly.
mosaic design. I miss those days of the man cave when we used to talk about football shirts. That's on tonight. Thank you, Lord Gilchrist, for that reminder. On cannibalism, Ubi. I'll stick with pork, thanks. Although I grow vegans and vegetarians. No, surely not. I'm not sure what grok means. I think that could be grow, couldn't it? What's
By the way, have you been noticing? I've been sending you some new documentaries.
Yes.
I have because the thing is, I don't know. We can talk about that as well as far as food is concerned. I just want you to be healthy, and I think that it's because from time to time you fancy yourself a burger or some kind of a meat that is not part of your sofa, right?
Yes. What do you mean? Something that's a bit tender, or that is not? Are you referring to my former defense of plant-based burgers? You've not forgiven me.
Oh, so it's a former defense now. Oh, that's good. All right. So we've moved along.
Yes, okay. You don't miss anything, do you? I agree with you, Frank. I'm not sure about which bit. I think it's probably about the sense of entitlement that you have such a highly attuned radar for there, Frank. Algarve, baby! Frank is here from the Algarve, and love what you're saying, Frank, says Joel Mendoza. Another man cave veteran. We used to hang out in the old days together there, didn't we? Never tell someone their baby is ugly. Okay, so that's sort
exactly.
And furthermore, never compliment a woman on her moustache, no matter how impressive it may be. Or monobrow, unless she's Frida Kahlo, of course, who was the exception that proved the rule there, I think.
Well, she was a hot chick.
She was amazing, wasn't she? I saw a wedding picture of her. She didn't look entirely satisfied, but then you look at the groom and you can understand why.
Absolutely, the reason why.
Yeah, the uglier from Aviva. It's so great having you and Joe on the same show. It really is. Happy, what was this? St. George's Day got mentioned as well. St. George isn't English. I don't know if I missed a bit of context there, but that's true. And he was Turkish, of course, wasn't he?
He was Turkish.
Yeah, there you go. He was Turkish. He isn't Turkish anymore. But historically Turkish, we could say.
Yes.
Observation and constructive criticism. Yes. Entitlement. No. So this is the line. Is that's what kind of grinds your gears. And we'll have you back on an Iberian FM phone in to really illustrate the point. But you're not against a bit of constructive criticism. It's not like Portugal is all good and nothing bad must be said about the culture.
A lot constructive. There's ways of doing that, but the way of basically comparing where you used to live and how things used to work so well over there, and that's exactly why you left, and bring it over here. That nonsense is very old-fashioned way. It's just prejudice and entitlement to the extent where you just kind of sometimes go, oh, you shut up already. I'm going to turn you off in 2 seconds.
And that's why gated communities can sometimes be good, because then you can get all those people in a gated community, can't you, talking to each other.
Gated community, put a little golf course in there so they can keep on smacking golf balls into each
Your
other's
prejudices
windows.
are coming out now, Frank. It depends on how an expat's observations are shared. We can all learn from each other. Absolutely right. And I have moved to that part of the graph or curve where I think it's okay. I'm not.
Well, you're not eating tofu anymore, so you have.
I'm not eating fake burgers, and I'm not completely. Not Cinderella. What's the other one?
Can you tell me how that happened?
All right, I'll come back to that if I can remember. Pollyanna is the word I was looking for, is the women's name.
Right.
I'm no longer the Portuguese Pollyanna, I think. Those days are behind me. Carl's Healing Tears, only 199 euros plus postage per vial there. I think that's got legs there. Great for the skin, full of vitamin D and other secret compounds. The last I checked, the cost of living in Vancouver is 58% higher than Lisbon.
Yes.
Quite the bargain over here. My wife was so confused when we were in Portugal because I told her she shouldn't tip when paying our bill, because we come from a country where a waiter is paid very little. A waitron, is that the unisex version of waiter or waitress? A waitron is paid very little.
It has to be the third form.
Yeah, it's the third type there. So yeah, it's not a country where people live on tips. They get a minimum wage. And that is done in an entirely different way here. Well said, Francis. We don't want our Portuguese neighbours on minimum wages having to justify why they don't give a tip, do we?
You see, once again, we'll get into this. We'll get into this this back and forth again. The lifestyle, the way the lifestyle, the way it's set up over here for the locals. If they are getting, let's say, minimum wage is 700, right?
Yeah.
That person who makes 700, even though it's not a lot, and I agree with that, it needs to improve. It needs to come up. It needs to come to certain European standards. I agree. However, when you go out, have you seen the price of milk go completely crazy? Have you seen when you go out to have coffee? When you go out to have coffee, you know, like a cafe cocherio, the way you like in the morning, right?
Yes.
So that coffee in the morning has not gone up from maximum €1.20. Let's come to the brass tax here. Things have not gotten that expensive over here. So these people, I am sure that these people I know that they're not saving anything, but they are living their lives. They don't want your charity. What they want is they want us to assist. If we know certain things, if we know how to, like let's say, if we know how to build things, if we know how to cook, if we know how to whatever, if you can do it better, do it, but keep your mouth shut. Do it well.
You're thinking about sharing, aren't you? There's a difference between sharing and preaching. Very good.
And
I think
preaching.
Joe was saying the same thing. And Bayrandi is basically agreeing here, I think. You know, if you're on a minimum wage, you don't have to justify why you're not giving a tip. And it's not part of the culture as well. Thanks, Bayrandi, for that. And I will, when the show finishes, stick around because I will do a slideshow of the events that Bayrandi has shared with us. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, especially in the Bayrada region. That's my cafe concheria.
Oh, so he gets Randy in the Bayrada region.
He certainly does. He's known
Randy,
for
Randy, baby.
Yes, I want to see your tears when Manchester City win the FA Cup. So healing tears from Frank also available, possibly.
Yeah, good for you. Good for your already beautiful skin there, Owen.
She was a waitress. This is Francis' wife, and that's why it didn't make sense. Yes, if you have been in hospitality, you might like a tip depending on the culture you come from. So that's a good example of two different countries being different, and that's okay. Get real, guys. Bar and restaurant owners were close to bankruptcy with COVID and still paying their debts. They need all the help they can get, including tips. Maybe Paul is saying there, but just drink more, possibly. Oh,
drink more, Paul.
Grok is equals to understand. I didn't know that. Learned something there. Grok can mean understand. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that.
Oh,
so you
very nice.
do or you don't understand vegans and vegetarians, Ubi. I actually gave my 30 Manchester City shirts to a young Portuguese lad that supports the only team in Manchester. You would see that as an act of cruelty.
That's heavy. That's a heavy bribe. So now he's got extra toilet paper in his house. Is that what you're saying?
Easy now, lads. It would be nice to see you both on the Man Cave. Thank you, Joel, for that invitation. Oh, God, rocks! Such great guests, says Francis. Was absent from the chat while trying to fix my kid's PC. Frank! Absolutely. And like that smash button, everybody. Sorry, Grok is from Stranger in a Strange Land. It's a kind of holistic way of understanding, feeling, okay, we like we're all about the grok here then, if that's what it is. A holistic way of understanding, feeling, and knowing something completely. Grokking all the way to the weekend here in our Bon Fin Semana. To be fair, Portugal works better than the UK, generally speaking. Fair points.
Absolutely, well, Andy, you're a smart guy. This is how it goes, man. We like it, we love it. We don't completely understand it, but we don't have to. That's why we are here. It'll take years for us to wrap our heads around what's going on over here.
And here's the thing: if you think the bureaucracy and other such challenges are difficult, I found out because of the Carnation Revolution, of course, in the years 74 to 76, Portugal assimilated, brought in, welcomed 500,000 people in a 2-year period. This current migration is nothing compared to that. They've seen it all before, haven't they?
They have, and this current migration it comes with dollars and pounds.
Yeah, in a way that wouldn't have, of course. That
one did not. Those folks just had, exactly, repatriation. There was nothing else going on.
A wee bit of learning the culture you're in could go a long way in changing old world location ways. Yeah, thanks, James. And we're all about that. We'll see you on Monday to talk more about that. If you want to make that a theme on Mindful Migration Monday. Frank, don't forget that trip to Madeira before you're off to Moldova. That's the rumor now.
I'm not going to Moldova. I wanted to send someone to Moldova.
Hippies, Trekkies, and other assorted nerds latched onto it back in the 1960s. So Grok, I love that. Got to run. See you later, Lord Gilchrist. It's not as much, not about not tipping, but a tip that rounds up to an even amount will be appreciated, but not.
Yes, that I agree with. So, let's say if your bill is 48 and you hand the person a 50 and you leave Fine, that's
Fair
how
enough.
we tip over here.
Not another 50. Okay, wait
Not
staff.
another 50, you moron.
Wait staff. Sometimes giving it to us straight this morning, as we know and love him, Frank in the Algarve. Wait staff sometimes refer to themselves as waitrons. There you go. Grok, waitron, fantastic.
Yes.
I Grok Spock, caught on as a cultural meme for a little while. That's great. Cheers, Ubi. Frank is right, says Abel. Don't take your culture to a different way of life. Just integrate and be one of them. Remember, you're there because you fancy a change.
Beautiful.
I experience much more appreciation for my efforts to speak Portuguese than for tips.
Amazing. That's that's a beautiful thing. Say bom dia, bom fim de semana. When you get out, try to speak to people. Try to make them feel that yes, I'm trying to integrate over here. Yeah. This is what we're talking about.
Absolutely. I was told to leave €1 or €2 for tips if you like the service. I'm confused, says Aviva. Round it up. It seems to be the consensus this morning. When in Rome, very good advice. Always good advice, isn't it? When in Rome. I wonder what the end of that sentence is. Complete that, if you will, in the chats. Actually, we need to get going. Good point of order here, Joel Denor. It is 10:05. There is no Iberian FM phone in. We're going to say thank you and goodbye to all of you and to Frank and Joe, especially Mrs. M, who's been this morning. Time to get on the road, Munsons. Hop, hop, hop. So, Frank, your final words then, I think, on this matter as we go into the weekend, maybe going out for dinner or a drink, and how to get this balance right between sharing, making yourself useful. We do have gifts and skills we can share, don't we? And not preaching. What to do?
One of the most amazing things will be, like, let's say you're a carpenter, you're a chef, you're whatever. Bring two, if you know your neighbors have kids or whatever, bring 1 or 2 kids, like let's say teenagers or whatever. Give them free classes. Do certain things that are useful for the society. Do certain things that will help folks. If you're an electrician, basically tell the kid, okay, you can come with me along in my van, and you can learn my trade on this Thursday or Friday. I have 2 or 3 calls to make. Come along with me. Teach someone something instead of this nonsense of like, I will just throw money at the problem. If there is a problem, which we're saying that there isn't, I will throw money at it and run away, because that's a coward's way of doing things. You have to do things in a proper way.
Yeah, well said, Frank. Thank you so much. Always great to see you. We're looking forward to seeing you already. Waiting with bated breath to see if the Munsons come back from Portugally. And vocês são boas pessoas. Bom fim de semana. What a great point to end there. Again, I don't want to end this. I don't want to push that button. I wish there was a fade, but we're going to have to do this harshly and promptly. We're going to tear that elastoplast off and say goodbye. Lots of love to you, Frank. And see you soon, mate. Nice big round of applause. Take care, everybody. Stick around for the slideshow at the end with some events for the coming weekend. Off we go. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day